Hey, I'm Tyler. This is my co host, Brad. And today we're sowing the seeds of contentment. So,
in your session.
in your session, that's right.
How to be content in your sessions.
So, you finally made it happen.
You got a group together.
You got a group
You
together.
found friends. You have friends.
Or at least you found a bunch of a-holes that are willing to put up with you.
Or you found people who said that you're friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't pay too much, people. It's not worth the money.
Yeah. And so you've got a night picked out. Somebody volunteered to go through the pain and the tears and the sorrow of being your DM.
They were brave.
They were
They made the brave, bold move.
That's
I will
right.
DM.
They volunteered as tribute, so to speak. Oh my gosh! Like, doesn't
Seriously.
it feel like that?
I don't know. I've always
Sometimes.
liked DMing, so it's never like that. To me, it's always like, oh, I can't wait to DM again. But that's me.
That's
Not
right.
everybody's like that. Not every group is like that.
Well, you're a good DM too, so that's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
At least somebody likes my
it's
DMing.
it's good to be good at what
At least
you
one
like.
person does. Confirmed on camera.
Oh man, nah.
It's in
Deception check. That's a nat one.
Therefore, you're not lying.
That's the truth.
I have a good
That
DM,
is
everybody.
absolutely
It's
the truth.
right there.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
the
a-
first roll is a nat one. This is gonna be a bad session. Get it out early. You know what I mean?
That's right. Got your net ones out early. So, okay. So if you're gonna start DMing,
You're gonna start
or you're starting a group,
Starting
generally good practices you've heard now is probably do a session 0.
session 0.
So why do a session 0?
Well, a session 0 is a great opportunity for you and your players, so the DM and all of the PCs, to get on the same page of what the hell you're going to be doing for the next number of years, potentially.
Wow, that's a big commitment.
I mean, who knows? And that's actually one of the things, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of logistics to running a game.
There's tons, and I agree. And it's very good to make sure you have the right expectation when you start,
Yeah.
because I mean, like in anything in life, having the wrong expectations can make things really fast.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I mean,
I don't mean a cool spell that you're casting with magic. I mean, like, unless that's like a fireball, and the fireball is your session in your group, and it just went boom.
that's actually. Have we literally had that happen? It feels
Only a few times. If
Well-
you haven't had that happen, let us know in the comments. I'd like to hear how that's never happened to you.
No, for real. Yeah, what
Seriously.
is the most epic way your campaign has ended? You know what I mean? Not to say like epic good, like epic bad, like
fail.
epic
What's
fail.
the epic fail that you've had in your campaign? All right, that's good. I'd like to know that. I'd
Yeah.
like to hear your stories. All right, so you're setting expectations. So what's that look like?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you want to have like be on the same line with like your schedule. Are you a group
Yeah.
that's going to meet weekly, bi-weekly, once a month?
You don't want to be that guy that shows up on the wrong day, right?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, where are you going to meet? Like what's setup look like for you? Is it online? Is it in person? Like
Right.
there's some obvious things that people sometimes don't think to talk about.
Right. Wait, so we playing today, guys?
Oh my gosh, it is so hard to get a group back together if you don't like start with this, you know, and say,
I
okay, we're
agree.
gonna meet every 2 weeks or something like that. Then
Right.
it's like, okay, when can we meet again? And if every session is left with that open question of when are we gonna meet again? Like if it's a lot of people that have no lives, maybe that's great.
I would
but-
definitely no for sure.
For
But
most
I would say for
cases.
sure, like set a schedule. Even if the schedule changes, it's good to know like, hey, we're playing every week
Mm-hmm.
on Tuesday. That's our D&D night, right?
Yes.
Or it's every 2 weeks on a Wednesday. Like,
Yep.
set a schedule for sure, because
Yeah.
that just helps you keep people consistent. And you know, we all like schedules. We may say we don't like schedules, but reality, I think we actually all like having consistent
Yeah.
schedules.
Yeah.
And I think families like it too.
No kidding. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean the people we play with, we're all married, we're professionals, we're out in the world like doing stuff,
have a
trying to make
life?
stuff happen. Yeah,
you have a life.
yeah.
Unless you're like me and your life is D&D. Just kidding. Maybe not.
You gonna roll? You gonna roll?
No, I'm not gonna roll.
Maybe I'll insight check
I'm
that.
not even rolling that. We're not going there.
That's a different video. Oh my heck. Well, and I mean, understanding those logistics of how often you're going to meet is good, but I think something that's helpful too is to kind of determine upfront how long this campaign is going to be.
Well, I also not even know how long the campaign will be. I think it's good to set up front how long each session will be. Like, are you going to plan on doing
that's a good
3-hour
point.
sessions,
That's a good
4-hour
point.
sessions, 1-hour
yeah.
sessions? Like, I mean, if you do like a 5-hour session every 2 weeks, yeah, that's probably pretty reasonable. You're planning on
Right.
2 hours every week. Okay, great. Like, I think it's good to get everybody on the same page with stuff like that. Otherwise, I think you're setting your campaign to fail before it even began. In all honesty.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But then to your point too, like how long, is there expectation? Like, hey, I think we'll do a campaign or we're gonna do a module or something like that. Yeah. It's gonna take, it'll probably take us 6 months to do it, or it'll take us a year to do it. Or
why is it helpful for a player to know how long the campaign's gonna take in general?
Great question. I like to know that because if I'm thinking about a character I want to play, if I know it's going to go for a long time, I kind of think now I'll probably be able to hit level 20. And so that kind of influences what I may or may not play. Maybe I have a cool character idea, but I'm only good to, I'm good to play with it for a year or 2 years. And maybe it's a fun idea, but I don't think I'm that invested. I would want to play for 2 years in that character. So, or even maybe if I want the multi-class or the decisions or feats that you may get into, right? If the expectation at least is from the beginning that it's going to be longer lived.
That's a great point.
And then that influences maybe what character you decide you want to play, right?
Yeah. And you've talked me through some of your builds where it's like, okay, so this is a character, they're going to suck until level 15. But because of this multi-class
hopefully it doesn't suck till 15. That would be I've not done that.
All right, I'm exaggerating. But
yes,
still,
you are.
But still, it's going to not be it's not going to hit its ultimate like stride really when you're multi-classing until a certain level. For sure. And
I think it's and hopefully everybody's aware enough that you would think that like, if I'm playing a martial class, I get, extra attack at level 5. And if I'm delaying that, then just, I guess it's good to know that between those few levels when everybody else gets it, I'm not getting it yet, that I may not, may not work as well. But once I get it, then the build maybe comes together and it's a little more fun to play. But you just are aware and know that, for 2 levels, things won't be quite as good for me because I've delayed it because of XX ability or something like that.
Exactly.
So that's good to know though. But again, if you're only playing to level 6, maybe you don't multi-class at all, right?
Well, and I mean, you can lean into that. If you're only going to level 6, I mean, for me, that makes me think like, oh, it'd be kind of fun to play a specific type of thing that is like a one-trick pony. Like I would get really bored with it by level 20.
Right.
But if I'm only playing to level 6, then I'm incentivized to like pick something that's going to be really solid at one thing and like not good in a lot of other scenarios.
And in a short campaign like that probably actually works, right?
Yeah.
Although I guess it could work a long campaign, but maybe not.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe not.
And I mean, it helps your players to understand better. I mean, it helps you as a DM to know, like, I want to go back to the point you said about like how long the session's going to be. As a DM, that's huge. Yeah. I mean, if you're needing to prepare for 5-hour sessions weekly versus one 5-hour session monthly, like that is drastically different.
For sure. For any DM. For DM, the work you put is a lot, and you got to be ready. You got to be committed to that time commitment to prep.
Yeah.
But also too, just like it's good to know what the time commitment of the whole campaign itself is, right? Like playing D&D, it's a fun hobby, but it is a time commitment.
Yeah.
And you put time in. It's it comes, it shows when you put it into the game, right?
Yeah.
And it's good to know what that time commitment is. Does that work for you and your family? I mean, things happen in life, right? Like, people have kids. Usually.
Yeah.
People have jobs.
Yep.
People get fired from jobs. People get new jobs, like
people move.
People date, I guess. People move.
Yeah.
And so it's good to know like, hey, life events happen. It's good to know like what's the commitment, because you can kind of plan like, like I have life things happening in a year or 6 months or 9 months or whatever, right? And so it's good to know and plan for that, so like, like I can make this work, or I'm happy to participate till this happens or not.
Yep.
And maybe that's okay with your group, maybe it's not, but it's good to get that out on the table at the beginning.
Yes.
Rather than last minute, hey guys, I can't play anymore.
Yeah.
I thought I could handle it, but I can't.
Yeah.
Because I have 9 kids.
It turns out.
It turns out. The 9th was the one too many.
But I mean, you make a really good point when scanning for those life events, like that doesn't stop after session 0, but still like session 0 is a really great time to kind of start there.
Right.
We've started campaigns where a baby was due in this X number of months. And so that's helpful for a DM to know.
It's no problem. It'll be totally fine.
Sure.
Right. And they're saying, really? Really?
Inside check.
Hey, look at you, nat one twice.
How?
Not your night.
Oh, this is not my night.
This is when you throw the dice when you get a new set.
Right. We need a new dice.
It's because you're putting on 20.
It's
jinxing.
I wanted to learn.
It's jinxing.
I wanted to get comfortable here and say, I like it here. This feels good. This is what I always do. And like other people have superstitions where they say, I'm going to switch out my dice. I'm not that kind of person. I don't switch out my dice when it's rolling bad.
I do.
I put it on what I want it to be, and I say, get comfortable. Like learn, feel Feel the muscle memory, the dice muscle equivalent memory.
The second that dice betrays me, it's gone.
Well, some people do like a dice prison.
You're in the garbage.
Yeah,
You're out. You betrayed me.
Well, okay. So
back on track.
Yeah.
So
with Session Zero, another point that we think is like important for DM and for PCs to be on the same page about is the setting.
Yeah, like definitely. Like, it's good to know. Like, are you playing a module? Like, you're playing through Strahd? Are you playing through? Some other module, like the Waterdeep Heist or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, or is the DM really brave? Is going full on homebrew, man? He's got his own thing going.
Yeah,
it's good. It's fun. You should do
homebrew
it.
Is
but be
excellent.
ready.
And also, oh my gosh.
But it's good to know up front, right? Like, if you're the player, it's like you don't want to, you want to know what you're getting into, right? Like, I mean, I would say, like, for instance, if you're playing Strahd, right? It's like, okay, I'm fighting undead. Strahd is a vampire.
Yeah.
If I didn't know that, great.
Yeah.
You somehow kept yourself entirely devoid of knowing certain things about things, which is great. But also too, if you're playing Strahd, I would hope the DM would say, yeah, like expect to fight some undead things, like
sure,
or if you're doing a homebrew campaign, you say, yeah, like you're fighting dragons. All you're doing is fighting dragons. It's just dragons. There's no undead. Okay, great. I'm not gonna go expect to play a clerk and turn undead on everybody, right? Like, that's not. I know that. I'll play the clerk. It's fine. But now I know, right? So
yes,
I think with that, it's good to know, like, what are you playing in, right? You're doing a module, and what's and usually all the modules will have a little paragraph or a little thing that they instruct your DMs to say to their players, like, hey, like, this is what you should tell your players about the module so they can prepare the right character for it, right? Nobody, I mean, example, right? We got into a campaign once and we had no idea it was going to be a survival campaign in the middle of the woods. It was going to be run through the woods and being quiet. And we're like, but I'm the paladin with full plate armor. I want to stand and fight because I can't sneak in the woods.
Yeah.
But we have to, right? We have to. It's just like, it's good to let your players know what they're getting into. Yeah. Nobody wants to be the sailor in the landlocked.
Yeah.
Right.
And none of us like and knowing the campaign, like its setting, its theme, that helps you inform on like how you're going to build your character. You're touching on class, but I mean, what skills do you take too?
Right, that's a very good point too.
None of us took survival in your example.
Oh, like, right.
None of us had survival.
Hunt for food. Where's my rations? You ran out.
You ran out. Yeah.
We're dead.
It was exactly
hunt that
like
rabbit with a rock. I miss. You're dead. Okay.
It was rough. Yeah. That said, it's not to say that there's anything wrong with that kind of campaign. It's just that's the purpose of the session.
It's good to it's good to let
we get on the same page.
As a player, as a DM, it's good to let you. It's good for everybody to know what they're getting into and what to prepare for. You know?
And I mean beyond that, if you're an experienced player, if you're somebody who has all the books and stuff, it also tells you don't read this book. Because then you're reading ahead.
No, you're right. No,
Where
you're
to
right.
not cheat.
Don't spoil the story, or if you already know the story, don't spoil it for everybody else, right? Like, I'm absolutely one who hates spoilers, so yeah, spoilers are bad.
That's a good point. Now, and let's talk more about like campaign themes, because you touched on that a little bit with like different monster types that you could like be running into, and I agree with that. I think that's really smart. If you're dealing with mostly undead versus like, hey, you're in this world that's like, let's say we homebrewed something that's really cool that deals with a lot of planar travel.
Sure.
And it's like, you know what? You're going to spend a lot of time in the plane of fire.
Right. I'm not going to get fireball now, right?
Right.
I won't have an expectation of picking up that fireball spell.
Yeah. Do I want to be a dragonborn that's fire resistant? Probably.
Yeah,
maybe.
That could be really fun now,
seems
right?
like a really good idea.
No, you're right. And maybe you were thinking of the human, but maybe now you want to be the fire resistant dragon.
Well, yeah, and you brought up a really good point.
Or the Genasi, right?
Yes.
Right.
Like, yeah, and then like backgrounds, it informs your background too. Like we were saying, if you're going to be out on islands, and this is like water world pretty much, like the sailor feat makes a lot of sense. If it's a big like Pangea-esque continent,
and you're landlocked,
and you're in the middle of it, then
and you're playing in the middle of it,
sailor doesn't make as much sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But beyond that, languages,
I see before you get to languages.
Sure, go ahead.
But I would say, like, I mean, even some other backgrounds just get access to use certain type of vehicles, like a ship, and maybe you won't get the ship vehicle now. You'll do the horse and cart, right? You can ride that cart like a boss.
Yeah.
You're riding shotgun on that Wells Fargo wagon, right? Like
that's very true. Yeah, that's very true.
But you're right. But and not even just the sailor background itself, but other backgrounds may get benefits or the things that not deal with certain things. So it's good to know what you're getting into, so you can kind of help influence, your character creation, right?
Absolutely.
And to a DM, it just honestly helps your players have more fun. It helps your players get more involved in the world and in the setting and the game and the book and the story, and they will have more fun when those certain things align like that, right? When somebody gets too far out, I mean, and again, maybe if that's their goal, then that's fine. But if that's not what they intended or wanted, they may not feel too good about the decisions when the game starts or when the game gets going, right?
Yeah.
And so it's, especially for new players, I think it's only courteous to do, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But and to your point with languages too, though, right? Yeah, like if you're traveling the plains, right? Yeah, okay, I'll pick up Primordial, right? Or maybe I wouldn't normally.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, like, what languages do you even have access to, or like when we're talking about the setting, like we've homebrewed some planets where it's like this race is not even a choice. Right.
For sure.
And sometimes that's just to kind of simplify things, and sometimes that's really great for a new player, or maybe even for experienced players to be like, hey, try out these new races that we've kind of homebrewed too, as opposed to what you always went to.
Yeah, I mean, with the homebrew theme too, like you said, there'll be different flavors for the world, right? And it's good to know what that flavor is, because you said maybe a race isn't available, but maybe there's other options that you wouldn't normally consider that you do consider, right? I mean,
so we don't have time to get into all of it, but Brad hates elves.
Yeah, we'll get there later.
How much do you hate elves, though?
Well, we'll get that later too. I will comment that my very first D&D character I ever made was an elf.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, you've homebrewed some worlds, and you never include elves.
I never include elves.
They're gone. They're gone.
Look, there's
good reasons.
Elves bring problems with them, okay? And we'll get in that later. One day we may go down that rabbit hole, but not today.
Is it the ears?
But elves suck.
Is it the haughty attitude? What is it? Is it the fact that
it's a lot of things?
It's so odd. Yeah. All right.
It's a lot of things.
Well, yeah. Okay, cool. And when you understand those themes and the settings, and you understand like some of these logistics, what will naturally kind of come out of this is you'll start to get like a table culture, right? Do your guys like show up on time, or are they typically kind of late?
Well, I think it's also a good time to set that what the table culture should be, right? If
you're
doing a whole bunch of new people, or you're inviting some new people to the group, let's say maybe you have a consistent group of a few friends, but one life event happened, one friend can't play anymore, and you start a new campaign and you invite somebody else new. It's good to set what those cultural norms are for your table, and I think it just kind of helps keep table harmony, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, like, what are some aspects of a table's culture? Like, I mean, we talked about this a little bit. And,
like I said, be on time, right? Like, time. I mean, I, as a DM, always like to give, people bonus experience for being on time. I think it's a fun way and a good way. And I spend time as a DM and invest lots of time to prepare a session for people. And I appreciate it when they're on time and we can start on time.
Yeah. If you're not doing XP, what's the other one called?
Milestone.
Milestone, that's right. Yeah.
I usually always play XP, but again, like so that's just what I do at my table. But but every DM or whatever, there could be different norms of being on time. Maybe some people, I'll play their group once. If you were late, well, it's fine, but you better bring a pizza or drinks or something for everybody.
That's
it's
cool.
like your penance for being late, right?
Yeah.
Again, you're playing. The game is not just about you. It's about everybody at the table, including the DM and the players, and they're all putting time and effort into it too. And it's only respectful, right? But again, cultural norms like that should be established up front at the table in a session zero. That's what it's there for, and I think it's a good place to do something like that.
Something that came out of our session zero in our latest campaign that I think is freaking epic is the fact that we said, what if we, and it wasn't my idea, it was Sean's idea, to put together a group chat that we would talk to each other throughout the week during like our the character's downtime, but we would talk in character.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool.
I liked that. I like it a lot because it's like, hey, you guys, we end the session. We're all sitting around the campfire. See you in 2 weeks, because that's our cadence. That's we do every 2 weeks. So it's like, see you in 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks, we get on that chat and we chat back and forth. And I think that's freaking cool. It's like way fun.
It is way fun. It's a way fun way to having people kind of build up that party camaraderie with the group, right?
Party etiquette, camaraderie,
and kind of help kind of do that the building of the party, right? Instead of having it, some people have to do it all at the table, but sometimes, you don't have all the time in the world to do it. And
Yeah.
what's fun to do, sometimes you also want to go, stabby something, or you want to go find that new cool secret, right? Or solve that cool puzzle, or walk the dungeon. And so, again, none of us have unlimited time. So it is a fun way to experience the game and to do some of those things, those aspects of the game that you wouldn't always do at the table or have enough time at the table between sessions.
And that brings up a good point. So for us, we've played lots of campaigns together, and one of the things that has been a little lackluster is that our backstories or our other things don't show up as much into the campaign as maybe we wanted. And this chat, I think, has been a really great way for us to tease out some of those details. And now, other characters in the campaign care a lot more about my backstory and other things that maybe they haven't in earlier campaigns,
right?
Because we just kind of have that time, like you're saying, we're augmenting that time to be able to just spend 2 weeks and think about what do I want to ask this person,
right? But also too, you gotta give yourself, you give the party a time to have it come out naturally, instead of trying to force it out in an awkward way sometimes, and not everybody is good at the role play aspect stuff, which is fine, right? But having that opportunity again just kind of helps it come out naturally, which is neat.
So yeah, we're big supporters of a group chat. Now that said, understanding the culture of your group too is really important. Some groups are really good at ragging each other. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. Some people might not want their phone blowing up with why are you guys talking to each other about this random sword that you're trying to reforge or whatever. This is
because it's important. It's on fire.
It's important.
You don't understand.
Yeah.
It will slay the thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, and in a session 0 is kind of where you can get a better feel for, and especially if you're brand new or the other people that you're playing with are brand new, you've never played together before, you can actually say the question. It's not awkward to say, hey, are we going to be that kind of group that, do we rag on each other's misfortunes? Are we going to give jabs at each other? Nobody's going to get offended. Sure. Are we cool with that, guys? And
no, right.
or gals and whatever. And yeah. I don't know.
I mean, everybody's different. Every group is different. And some groups are, maybe you've been friends forever and you can totally rag each other you found the pit trap, or you rolled that bad roll, you loser. You
died.
But some people,
again.
But some people may not like that, and it could be maybe somebody new at the table, or maybe you just kind of know,
right.
Hey, but hey guys, I don't, or gals, I don't like that, Hey, I don't like you ragging on me, fall in the pit trap and I rolled a bad roll. I mean, again, every group is different, but it's something good to kind of, what's that etiquette, what's that culture that you should at the table? Is it something that, or I would say could, comes down to sometimes there's a kind of somebody decides to be kind of a pill of a player, right?
Right.
How's that handled? Is the culture of, players should call it out and handle it amongst each other, or is it something should be passed to the DM? Do they want to be called up? Called out for that at the table?
Sure.
Does the DM do it on the side? What's the process for dealing with those things that come? I mean, every group, even people who play together forever, or not forever, but for a long time, I guess, right?
Yeah, and
forever's a long time. Forever and ever.
I mean, as you and I know, people who play D&D traditionally are extremely good at social situations and, talking to other people.
Everybody's so perfect at that, right? Just pro, man.
There's no
pro. They got it down pat.
Yeah. Speaking from personal experience, I have been sitting there at the table and felt completely lost, and other times I've sat there and I know exactly what I want to do, and you feel like the rug is pulled out from under you. But yeah, learning how to handle that with your group is awesome. And the session 0s, especially when it's a repeat group, but even if it's a brand new group, it's super helpful to kind of go through that stuff and learn how you're going to call out the dysfunction or misfortunes or things like that. And then there can be groups that it feels very DM versus PC. And other groups that can feel very PC versus DM. The DM keeps bringing stuff and they keep ignoring it.
Well,
I don't know,
and also too, I mean, where everybody may say, oh, that'd be kind of fun to try and do. But I think for the most part, you generally don't want a PC versus PC scenario. Usually when it happens, it's because, emotions ran high and, and so, establishing this ahead of time is a kind of good way to help make sure you prevent something like that. You don't want, you guys are committed to play a group together. You don't want to 6 months later say, I'll have the group break up and not play anymore because, somebody decided to be a jerk that night,
right?
And regret it. But, we all do stupid things. But again, having that norm established ahead of time can help prevent you from falling into a situation like that where you're not playing D&D anymore, right?
Totally. And I know folks that would get way annoyed with other people at the table, but all they needed to do was vent it.
Yeah.
Like if they had a DM that would sit there and listen to them and go, yeah, you know what, you're right. And a DM that even took that extra step of saying, I see there's a way I can like help solve this by doing X, Y, or Z.
Right.
Then that player feels heard and they want to keep coming. They want to keep playing, and they understand or feel like things are going to get better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. For sure. Yeah. And then I think one of our last points we have, for session 0 is I think it's great to understand and know, like, what are the other players doing too? You know, like what's your composition of your party, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, you can all go play rogues. Nothing wrong with that, but it's good to know going in.
And this is
right?
where the principles kind of build on top of each other, right? Like
Right.
you by this point you should know this is our setting, generally speaking.
Right.
So let's say Strahd, and we've done this for a one shot where like we were playing Strahd and we decided, well, yeah, we'll be like monster hunters.
Right.
Where this group of dudes that were all like mentored by the same guy or whatever, and finding those intersection points so that your backstories can come together, but then also so that your classes can complement each other.
Right.
In the setting of like the module or the homebrewed like world or wherever it is you're playing. Like that's where the game gets like really fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Or the opposite. I mean, you might be a really experienced player and you're looking for something that's going to be like hard or weird, or like, I want to be like a sore thumb in this world. I want to like look like, feel like, seem like I don't fit. You know what I mean? And
but again,
that's all good.
No, yeah, and it's all good, but that'd be really interesting.
Right. Well, and letting your party know ahead of time.
I'm the elf in the world that doesn't have elves.
That doesn't have elves. I'm the last one.
I had somebody do that once. I said yes. It didn't work out too well for me. Just kidding. I had to make a way for it to work. I will work with my players.
Well, and that's true too. Like if you want your DM to make an exception because of this idea you have, this fantasy that you want to play out, like this is the time to bring it up, and all that stuff's cool.
And that's the thing too, like knowing that ahead of time too, also kind of helps to put that party composition together, right? I mean, is it like, are you gonna have backgrounds that are shared across people? Are you doing you doing a group patron or something, or is this setting or supposed to be where like, hey, we all know each other, we're all from the same town,
right.
or hey, we're all related, or hey, we're part of the same guild that goes fights things together, or and so I mean, if you decide like, hey, we all want to play, we're all part of the Thieves Guild, and then maybe you all do play rogues. Now that makes sense, right?
Right.
But or hey, we're all hobbits from Hobbiton, right?
We still got to play this campaign,
except for the one human wizard.
Right. We still got to play this campaign, and this works in practically any setting. But we want to do a campaign at some point where everyone in the party is a bard that plays a different instrument, and you're in a band.
You're the rock band.
Yeah, you're in a band.
The bard band.
And you're doing a tour around like the world or whatever. And, chaos ensues or whatever, and you as a band keep solving problems. Kind of almost Scooby-Doo-ish, but
you're a band.
You're a band.
A bard band.
That's the South Park version with corn, because that's what they do. In South Park, they make corn the Scooby and the Gang.
Oh, jeez.
Then they go city by city, like doing their rock and roll and also solving mysteries.
Right. So it's just such a fun idea that we got. One of these days we gotta do it. It'd be a fun life.
I feel like I need redemption. So persuasion check to try that. Persuasion check. That's a 19, baby. That's a lot better.
Redeem yourself at the end of the video. He redeems himself, guys.
I did it.
Well, I think that's a good ending on a high note. On a 19, guys. I mean,
who
doesn't want to end their session on a 19, right?
19 after 2 net ones.
So, anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. We've been Motley Mimic. Catch you next time.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Here's a fun game. Go grab a D4, roll it, and depending on what you get, watch video 1, video 2, video 3, or video 4. See you around.